Ain't got too much going on. I had to go on a little road trip today. Been driving most of the day. Got home a few hours ago. Not too much going on. Just chilling. Had some business to take care of out of town. Uh, but not too much right now. I'm gonna get going on some Red Dead Redemption. I think we're probably pretty close to finishing that game. I was debating on what I was gonna play. I was really on the fence about playing uh either Battlefield. I was thinking about doing a Battlefield stream, and I don't know. Zanny is over here bothering me, which is a lot of it. I figured I probably wouldn't get a very good stream out if Zanny's up my butt, up here in my lap bothering me. I can play games like uh, Red Dead here, like low pressure situation, but Battlefield Zanny disrupts that. There's a intro I wanted to do. I'm probably gonna record it for my um, uh, daily felony video. I did a space yesterday on Twitter, and it was supposed to just kind of be a just a little hangout space for me and a few friends. But yeah, I think the name of it was "Poop Pirates Set Sail." It was just some stupid inside joke, but it was just gonna be a hangout space. It it's all my spaces are recorded, so people can go and always listen back to them because I try to be an open book. That's what kind of makes me different from everyone else on especially UFO Twitter is just how phony everyone is. And I go and check the analytics the next day, and there compared to how many people were active in the space, there were a lot of recording people listening to the recording after, which tells me that my haters are listening back and clipping it, and they're gonna be criticizing of what critical whatever we were talking about in that space. And so I was kind of thinking about it, what is the best way, and to just do a preemptive strike and just clear it all up before they can even really talk about it. That way, when they do discuss it, if anyone who's seen this can just say, well, actually, we already, TJ's already cleared that up. So it's kind of, it just seemed like a funny idea. Call it a preemptive strike on the bullshit. And I was kind of loose-lipped yesterday. Might have been the gubbies. I don't know. But I was opening up more than I usually do about paranormal experiences I've had throughout my life. Uh, and I'm the ufology thing isn't even one of my main interests. It's just kind of a side interest. I've always been more interested in the paranormal field, demonology, even all the way down to the corny ghost hunting shows. I've pretty much followed them all closely. Like Ghost Adventures, Paranormal Files. Even now, a lot of it's on YouTube. Paranormal State I used to watch a lot. I like that one a lot. Where it was the kids they had a college society that studied paranormal events, locations. I'm 50 times more fascinated in demonology, paranormal than I am, ufology. Especially nowadays, considering how much UFO Twitter's just kind of sucked the fun out of it for me. Um, Now that I've seen kind of how these stories get created and these documentaries, it all seems to be bullshit to me. So I don't even really care anymore. But we were talking about in that space a lot about was my paranormal experiences throughout my life, because in ufology there's a lot of pressure, or like not pressure, but clout put on the experiencers, the people. And a lot of people have had paranormal experiences, but a couple that I talked about in this space were that I'm sure probably got talk discussed in spaces where the one with my mom, she lost her brother who was like her best friend in life. He was found in a hot tub, um floating face down. He was drowned in the hot tub when his body was found, and it was under there's I'm not gonna go into details, but it was very suspicious circumstances. And my mom really had a hard time in the grieving process because you don't really get closure in those situations. Like you don't know what happened. There were allegations against the ex-wife. All kinds of things. None of it added up. The autopsy didn't add up. It was just that's a whole nother story. But she wanted to try to contact him, and I had a spirit board. You know, people call it Ouija board. I would call it a spirit board, and we made a few sessions and attempts to speak with them, and I won't go into too much detail about it, but I have seen a spirit board work. I've seen it function in the way it's supposed to. Now I don't know what was coming through. I don't know what was causing the board to react. And that's one of them, you know, that I'm sure they'll pick on or key in on. Also, I've seen shadow figures for most of my life. I grew up in a really old, um, 200-year-old house, and I was kind of off in my own little part of the house in a bedroom I was terrified of. My dad kind of got off on the fact that it scared me to be in there alone, so that was a learning lesson for me, and I would from as long as I can remember, that was the house that I grew up in. I could remember seeing eyes in the closet looking out at me, and that closet bothered everybody. Toys would go off in there. Um, my sister ended up taking up over the room when she was born because she's several years younger than me. She didn't like it either. And I began having regular night terrors when I was staying in that room, and an entity attached to me at some point where it it became reoccurring nightmares. The same entity throughout my life. I've been dreaming about him since I was probably 8 to 10, maybe. Um, and when I was younger, it used to terrify me. So they were just night terrors. I'd wake up panicked, upset, scared. But as I got older and started to, research paranormal and stuff, and that type of thing, I I started learning more about dreams, and I'm a vivid dreamer. My sister is too. My mom is. I'm actually quite skilled in that. Like I can wake myself up now. I can pull myself out of dreams. I can kind of control them, but I got to the point where I could have basically full-on conversations with this. All I would call it at this point is an interdimensional being. Including I got a name from him. It's a common name that other people have gotten. He, I don't want to go into much detail because, like I said, I'm trying to avoid a lot of criticism that I know is probably going to come. Uh, he he did wear a big top hat like Bill the Butcher from Gangs in New York, but from what I've seen and experienced, it's not what people call the Hat Man or what most experience with the Hat Man. It's not the same being. It's a totally different being, but I do believe it's something more. It's a I mean, you could say NHI. It's a non-human intelligence of some kind, an energy of some sort. It's always been there. Dreams. I've seen silhouettes of it before, but never full-bodied in real life. I've heard the voice before in my real life. And when that started happening, where I started regularly having the recurring dreams with the entity, I don't want to say the name because whenever I do give the name out, it's just a real simple one syllable name. I seem to have dreams that night, and they're never pleasant. It's a tormentor, is what it is. It would joke about like my sister was gonna get sick. It was gonna take my grandparents from me. I won't live to see 40 things like this. It's a tormentor spirit. It's not necessarily like a monstrous like growling. It entices and tricks and tells you things like for several years when I was going through probably my 20s, a big routine was it would laugh and say things like, "Do you want to know when you die?" And it would happen almost every time I encountered it in these dreams, which would happen maybe once a month or so, every couple months. It would laugh and giggle and say, do you want to know when you die? I know how you die. I could show you." And finally, one time I was like, "Fine, bitch, tell me, when do I die?" And it gave me an exact age. So that's always kind of messed with me. And that's why from all everything I've read, it's a trickster, tormentor, spirit of some kind. Um, Now, where did it come from? I thought it came from the house that I grew up in. Um, but I've been around death my whole life. My best friend in first grade was killed by a drunk driver, and I had a lot of post-traumatic stress from the funeral and the viewing and all that stuff. It was hard for me you know, to comprehend death at such a young age. So a lot of things have happened that where I think an attachment could have came. I've lost three like what I would consider best friends. Taylor was the one in first grade, and then I've lost two to drug overdoses. That were my best, like growing up childhood friends. And I've always just kind of been on the darker side of things, and just drug use in general will attract dark entities. But another thing I mentioned in this space was also Carlos kind of clued in on this a little bit. If anyone wants to go back and re-listen to the space, it's called Poop Pirates Set Sail, which I know it's a goofy ass title. We were just being goofy. I was being goofy. But the space was actually a pretty good conversation. It's only an hour. It was real quick. Just a short conversation, but it was actually a really good conversation. And I noticed Carlos kind of keyed in on this, but he didn't want to be rude. I mentioned I've seen shadow figures most of my life since that house, and he kind of asked like, well, like, is this still happening? And yeah, I still see them from time to time. It's out of the corner of your eye, or they'll just kind of be lingering in the corner in the shadows. You'll see kind of the silhouettes pop out and look. um, and it's kind of a sore subject for me, particularly on in this online community around UFO Twitter. And when I was tangled up with that Jess girl, I talked and opened up to her about my paranormal experiences and things like that I'm talking about right now. And she seemed to really latch on to the shadow people thing. And when she was trying to just wreck me mentally and be real gaslighting, manipulative. She was telling me that I should take that as proof that I have severe bipolar. And um what was the I don't she was trying to self-diagnose me, saying that because I've had experiences with shadow figures that it's proof that I have mental health issues, basically. Paranoid delusions, psychosis, things like this is what the allegations were. And I took great resentment to that, especially coming from someone, from a community like UFO Twitter that believe in just the wildest shit you could ever imagine. Shadow figures are seen all over the world. I mean, they're documented and seen by people everywhere. And yeah, it is. There things like insects, there are symptoms, but yeah. So I understood, like when Carlos, like when you said that, what you were kind of hinting at. And I know full damn well, like and those are things that I have researched already going through these, paranormal experiences. Could this be mental illness that I'm dealing with? So yeah. Um, that's about it for the space and stuff I wanted to talk about. Um, there was one other thing I wanted to really just I don't know if it's important to get to tell people or what. Um, I don't. I know a lot of people might not like, or or they come under a negative spotlight with my content, with some of it. I don't think people realize how beneficial content creation has been to me for me. Like even my therapist has noticed a huge difference. Just the of having a way to express myself creatively that doesn't harm anyone, isn't including myself, is really, it should be looked at as a healthy way of expressing myself. I mean, all I'm really doing is I'm shooting a video journal or diary and I'm putting it on YouTube. Like that's really all I'm doing when you break it down. My experiences on social media, or in gaming, things like this. And when people are, quick to be really negative about, oh, you only get this amount of views, or nobody takes you seriously, you're a lol cow. I just I know my haters are gonna hate, but this this learning content creation and just finding a way to express myself. It's been really helpful for depression that I've dealt with a lot, social anxiety. Um, I was, I do struggle with a lot, and that's why I know, like, the things. I'm a pretty self-aware person that I struggle with, and it is like depression, social anxiety, confidence, and things. And just knowing it might not sound like much. That just knowing in a day or two, over 100 people have watched my videos. It's been hugely helpful. Like just that people listen. It's helped with my social anxiety, that I'm capable of expressing myself in a way that people, even if it's a small number, can relate to. And it's just done a lot to help me organize my thoughts and get them out in a way that, like I said, should be looked at as harmless, but because of the you know s- strange online community that I've become a part of, it's almost been treated as a negative, or like I'm doing something wrong. And I just want people to maybe think about that, and just to look at it a little differently when you're being critical of what I'm doing. It's really all I am, is a guy trying to learn how to make YouTube videos. All right, let's get ready to jump over and finish out Red Dead.